So as we've been talking about transmedia and this idea of like trying to pull a bunch of stories from our story world, where do you look to try and craft that many stories out of one story world? Like what kind of like techniques do you use to pull good stories out for all of these different platforms across your story world?
So people can get the theory and they can get excited about the model, but practically, what are the strategies to use to be able to identify jumping off points in story that maximizes the transmedia model? There's a couple ways that I think are very easy to identify, and one of them is unanswered questions. And so I think this is the easiest way to create transmedia opportunities, is identify unanswered questions in your script and in a movie, in a TV show, whatever it is, unanswered questions, and then answer them somewhere else in a different platform. For example, like take the classic example of Pulp Fiction. What's in the briefcase? And if they didn't answer it in the film, which I think was right for the film, kind of created a mystique around the film. But if today Tarantino launched a web series or a comic book series or a novel or something that was all about the briefcase and the guys to go get the briefcase and actually reveals what's in the briefcase, all of a sudden, like, that's a tremendous incentive for me as a fan of Pulp Fiction to go check that out. In Inception, where you don't know at the end whether he's stuck in the dream or not stuck in the dream because he spins the top and they cut the film. That's an unanswered question. And so if they answered that somewhere else, in an app or a song or something, then that's a transmedia opportunity. I like to think back to the Sofia Coppola's first film, Lost in Translation. At the end, Bill Murray whispers something into her ear, and you don't know what he says, and that's an unanswered question. And if 20 years or 10 years later, however long that film's been out, if they re-engage the audience by, whether it's a love song that reveals the line, maybe it's an email that Bill Murray's character sends Scarlett Johansson's character that the audience is CC'd on, that you get it in your, and remember that time I whispered this into your ear in Tokyo, that all of a sudden is valuable for the audience. So if you go through a script and you can readily identify transmedia opportunities that you may didn't know from the beginning of, where did that character go when she went off screen? Why does he have a black eye? What's behind that door? Where does that car go? What are these guys talking about? Like unanswered questions, you can probably find 15 in an existing script or pilot already that then is a transmedia opportunity that you can split off and answer somewhere else. Or if you're creating writing a script from square one with this knowledge, you will naturally build in questions that you're not going to answer until you release this other thing in a different platform. And so a great example of that is when in The Force Awakens and Star Wars, C-3PO has a red arm, and nobody knows why C-3PO has a red arm. It's an unanswered question. Well, then Lucasfilm released a one-shot comic book about C-3PO and how he got the red arm. It's such a simple, stupid thing that isn't like, it's not rocket science. It's like literally play on the curiosity of people, pose a question, don't answer it somewhere else. It's like ready-made transmedia in a box. J.J. Abrams calls it mystery box, right? He's sort of coined this term mystery box of like the human mind will always want answers to questions. And if you just build in intentionally questions that you don't answer in your script, answer them somewhere else, maybe not immediately, maybe wait 10 years. And wait until what you feel like your audience is starting to like wane and die off, and this is a way to re-engage them in a great way. In music, you have Michael Jackson that says, "Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who says that I am the one, the kid is not my son." The unanswered question is Michael the dad of this kid or isn't he? He says he's not, but we don't know. It's an unanswered question. So if today they released something that revealed whether Michael was the father of that kid, I would absolutely check that out for sure, right? I like to use the example of like my early college days when the Baha Men had that song called "Who Let the Dogs Out," and right, that if today the Baha Men tweeted out, "Come check out my new album," I would never click that link. I don't listen to the Baha Men. But if they said, hey, click this link and actually find out who let the dogs out, I would do that. Of course I would do that. And it's just a click, right? And then if they pay it off by going to the website and finding out Snoop Dogg let the dogs out, and now there's a new collaboration on the new album or whatever, all of a sudden they got me to their website, but they got me by playing on the curiosity of, I always wonder what the answer to that question is. So that's a great opportunity for transmedia. I think character backstory is a great opportunity for transmedia. Screenwriters deal with this all the time. How much backstory of the characters can we put in a script? The more you explore backwards, the less you're going forwards. And it's always this push and pull in a script because you only have 110 pages in a feature, et cetera, et cetera. So if you understand a transmedia model, this is a tremendous tool for writers to say, I can still tell my backstory without overburdening or encumbering my feature script or my TV pilot. I'm just going to tell the backstory somewhere else in a different platform. So maybe I have my feature script, maybe I have a short story that's the character backstory, maybe I have a song, maybe I have an animated short film that works as the backstory. Overwatch, the video game Overwatch, the video game is a first-person shooter, and they don't tell you any story about any of their characters. On their website, they have the backstory of all their characters in animated short films that are tremendous storytelling tools. So they get the backstory, but they get it without overburdening or encumbering their video game. So they basically have their cake and they eat it too. AMC does this all the time. For all their characters and all their shows, on the AMC website, they'll launch digital comics that explore the backstory of all their characters, which is extended content for the fans. But for creators, it's great because we get the things that we love. We get the backstory that we love, but at the same time, we get a tight, efficient script or TV show or movie that isn't encumbered. So that's another really super easy way. Different parts of the story world that you can explore. If you never show what's in the basement of this house, then all of a sudden a short story or a poem or a piece of art that shows what's in the basement, valuable comprehension. Things like that are practical ways to approach transmedia strategy that aren't that hard, that aren't rocket scientist type of things to figure out. Deleted scenes. I'm always a big fan of deleted scenes of them not just dying on a DVD special feature. Or there's always scenes that we screenwriters have to cut out that we can't use because we're trying to come in at page length. And so I'm always an advocate of not deleting, but cutting and pasting. And you can take the scenes that you cut from a script or cut from a book or a chapter that you remove from a book or a verse that you remove from a song, and just figuring out how to repurpose that into a different medium or different platform. Then it's a ready-made transmedia opportunity that's already written. Then maybe you figure out how to turn that into an illustrated thing, or maybe you communicate it through whatever it is, a digital platform, make it a VR opportunity, or communicate it through augmented reality, something like that. I think would be interesting. So if you had, just imagine if you had scenes that were cut out of Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction or something like this, and then there was a mug that you could buy that was a Pulp Fiction mug or a Reservoir Dogs mug that you had an augmented reality app that you could hold up to the mug, and all of a sudden you can read or experience the scene that was cut out of the film 20 years earlier. That's awesome. I would love that. As a fan, I would love that. And then as a fan, if fans would love that, then why don't you do that? You're wasting those scenes anyway, right? So identifying that narrative excess, unanswered questions, further story world exploration, character backstories, all great ways to have ready-made in the box transmedia strategy.